Hey everyone, in this video we're going to go beyond points. We're going to talk about toolkits. I'm developing my toolkit right now. I don't have all the tools and I would like to have. I'm creating them, I'm making them. I mean, for example, just start with this right here. This is a pressure flaker. I took this piece of wood from this piece of wood. It was right there, and I talked about it in my last video. I used this to chop it with, to cut around all of that, and part of that edge is still, I can't tell any, I can't see any wear in it at all. So some of it stays sharp, some of it stays dull. I talked about flake science in my last video. If you want to know more about that, go watch that. So I started by making drills to drill holes with for no, actually I started by, I needed to cut this antler off of this. They were together, and I made a chisel to do that with. I did that back when I was doing Dalton videos, and I don't have that chisel out here. I'd show you. I'm making new chisels now, better. After that was a test, so I kind of I'll just show you, trying to create a more efficient design. So like, here's a couple I came up with. I'll show this one first. This is a piece of Burlington. It's from flake, very uniform thickness and width flake, and it had it wasn't a triangle ridge flake. It was a flat ridged flake. So if you look at this is narrow here, and then it starts widening from there out. And I haven't done the bit work yet. I just done everything else but that, and so I'm still going to do that. I just haven't done it, but I'll pressure flake and remove these the cortex from here to create the right angle, and I'll show you the right angle here in a minute on a different one. But I made this to go in this hole that I drilled in this socket. So Wenatchee people, they were smart, they were intelligent. There's evidence of it. I talked about it in recent videos, so we're going to move on from that and just talk more about the tools themselves. This I believe for Wenatchee toolkits, they would have composite tools, multi-use composite tools. I'll talk about both of those, but this is if you just have this, you don't have as much control and you don't get as much leverage. You can't hit it as hard. It's not as safe. But you can put it in a chisel just like your chisels at home today, for any of you who are watching that have those. And if you do, then you know that you get more leverage, basically, because there's more weight, so you can hit it. You don't have to hit it as hard. You can use a heavier weight and you get precision this way as well. And now I don't want this to drive into the antler because it's wider, so it'll split this, my belief. And this is not a tapered hole, it's a straight hole. I'll talk about the drill bits I used in a minute. But so how do you half this? So I think of what's available. I talked about them a little bit in other videos, recent videos, but they could, let's see, they pitch, and they could create charcoal for the pitch from like peat. What else did I say? Dung, wait, no, not dung. Peat and just other woods that were there, pine and any other conifer produces sap. You can use dry distillation. And so pitch, hide glue, sinew, and rawhide, and leather. Those are the ones I can think of. If you have more, mention them. So I would put a dab of, I was going to do it on the video, but decided not to, but put a dab of pitch in there. Enough where I put this in there, maybe a little bit would squeeze out, and then I would let it set and test it and see if that works. There's a certain position this fits in, one where it's straight in line with the hole and the handle, and two, none of these edges hit the inside edge up here. So, and this hits the bottom of the hole, but it is pithy. Now, they would have used dense bone for this and it wouldn't be pithy, so they wouldn't have to worry about it. I have to worry about it. So we'll just see how it goes. We'll test it and try it out. So there's one chisel, and that one's designed to fit in a socket. This is another chisel I made that's it's really, I think it's more of an idea that's too small and maybe a little too curved. The concept is there. I wish I had a bigger one of these. This was perfect except for what I just mentioned. But I ground this heavily and polished the end of it after I made it. But if you look at this side, this is a flake. No, there's no work done on that. That's just raw flake. It's the outside of the biface. And then the other side, I just worked up to this flat spot. So there's a lot of strength in this point, except I wanted to be able to use it in my hand just for precise stuff and then hit it with something. I'm gonna have to try it out. So we're gonna try it out and we'll see if it works. But the bit, I wanna see if I can get a close-up of it. Because you have to take flakes on this side to create the bevel so that flakes come off. It can't be too obtuse, right? It's gotta be sharp, but not too sharp. And you need these back flakes taken on the back side. See if I can show that. So you can see the flakes, and notice the bevel, the angle of the bevel that creates when you take that back flake. It's going to make that strong. In my Dalton video, I made a chisel. It had a bit just like this end, and only one flake came off, chopping that antler in two, if I remember right. So anyway, that's a handheld one. Here's one. There's a couple here similar to it. Here's one I took off of a piece of knife river that still has cortex that would need to come off to verify that there's no cracks or nothing underneath there that would cause this to break easily whenever you're using it. Because this is handheld and you're hitting it and you don't want it to break and smash your fingers, so you want everything to be right. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try it. But it's got a lot of thickness. It's very, very strong the way it's built, but it's got a hair bit of twist, which is okay. I just got to do some work to it. Same with this one. This is one I think I like better. It's long, it's thin, and I don't think it's too thin, but we're gonna find out, because it might be. But I need to remove this cortex to verify its integrity, and it's flat right here, and it comes to a, this was an extension. This was the second blade after the crested blade, so this is part of the crest. So yeah, you just take pressure flakes back into that, and then put those back flakes in there and do your margins, and try it out and hit it with something. Here's another gouge experimental. I haven't really got to try this out yet, but I'm going to. This one fits in this handle, and it fits in there perfectly. I love it. It's got a lot of good, you could use this for a lot of good hand control. You know, some woodworking tools that you buy aren't just made to hit, but you can work them directly as well. And the handle provides leverage and control. This is also, you know, made to be hit, or I'm going to make some that are going to be made to be hit. So same kind of hafting. I don't want to use hide glue in there. I was thinking of that, but then it has to get wet, and I don't want that. I don't want it to get wet, especially my pressure flaker. So I have a different design for that. For the pressure flaker, this is it's moving there. I want this to be tight enough that it doesn't move, but not so tight I can't get it out. I can't figure out how to make a Clovis style pair of pliers, so modern style works real good when this is too tight, but eventually this is gonna break, maybe. I think I did it wrong. I should have forced it to split like I did my other pressure flaker, so that this goes all the way to the bottom, and then when it's loose, but then wrap it with rawhide and then stick this in the hole afterwards, and then it's tight. So I'll do that to this one when it breaks, but that's a straight hole as well. It's not tapered. It's wood. That worked pretty well. So it drilled into the antler first, and it's pithy. So, you know, once I got past the initial part and it really established my hole, and I was in the pithy zone after that, and it was real easy. But this one wasn't as easy, but it was fun. However, I did discover that, I mean, I just get wore out, you know, twisting back and forth with a drill, a flake drill you hold in your hand. So I think they used leverage, so I'm gonna do that too. So I use a tiny piece of leather as a shim to hold it, and I can grab that leather and help pull. I can pull on it to help get this out, and if it comes out without breaking, then that makes this loose and it'll go back in. But let's see, there we go. Alright, so that's what I would use for flakes. A lot of flakes, a lot of small work right here in my hand. I don't need a lot of pressure and stuff. Here's a couple pieces of other leather I brought out. These are ones I have that I use as shims. Okay, the drills that I used to drill the holes. I have drilled 3 holes. Yes. 1 in antler and 2 in wood. And I did them, oh gosh, with my hand. But then once I made this, I put them in here and tried to use that as well. Except for this, I don't understand, but when I do research to look in the archaeological record for this kind of tool, I can't find it. This is different than, I don't know, this is a burinated flake. It's a burn on the end. Sorry, a burinated drill. I can't find anything burinated drill. And apparently they either don't find them or I don't understand. This worked really well, incredibly well. I used it to drill this hole in this wood, which was the hardest one. I drilled this hole with this as well. Did I? I don't remember. But this wood is not as hard. So let me just explain what I tried to do. I made a shape similar to this. It was a little wider, and I burinated the tip. I took one flake off one edge and then prepared a platform and took a flake off the other edge, and then I narrowed the shank because I didn't start out it was all the same width at first, but when you twist this back, and you can go back and forth as well, or just go round and round and round, but it does some of this action, and I was afraid I was going to break it by hitting it on the side and twisting at the same time, so I made this narrower. That's the only reason why it's like that. But it's burinated. I'm going to try to show it. I mean, it's beat up a little bit. I drilled some holes. It still works, but it kind of looks like a wood drill bit on the end. One burn went kind of one way, and then when you flip it over, you take the flake the same way. So whenever you look at them, they're twisted. It was incredible. I'll move on. Sorry, enough about that. This is another drill I used. This was incredible. I just used it to start the holes because the diameter was too large. I had already created a drill and drilled this hole using this, and this was too big. So I just used it to start the holes, but it worked incredibly well. And the tip on the very end of that, I read like some archaeologists say that they put that on there on purpose. I didn't put it on there on purpose. It ended up like that though. And it worked pretty well, real well. So I'll talk about, I didn't talk about this other drill. I took this flake. I took a flake. It was a crested blade that was straight from a Knife River biface from an earlier video, and then created this. Another thing that they say, it's like, I think they said they don't find too many stemmed drills until you get to the Dalton period. But I just one of those things. It's because I believe they were so intuitive, had so much ingenuity, engineering skills, they were sophisticated minds. They had to think through problems and create solutions to those problems. And like, drilling a hole just by using your hand like this just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. When I also see in the archaeological record, they don't find these, but they do find concentric holes that they suggest was drilled with high speed. So anyway, I made this. I don't know if it's part of a Clovis tool or not, part of the Wenatchee Clovis Toolkit or not, but I'm making it my toolkit, and I'm going to show you some more advanced ways to use this, and I'm going to use it to drill through ivory. I'll show you, but I made this originally to go in here so I could just, same thing, so you could reuse it. You put pitch in there, you can put this next to the fire. Antler takes heat pretty well, so you put this next to the fire, let it heat up a little bit, give it a little twist, pull it out, put your new one in, you're ready to go. Or, you know, maybe it's the chisel you want instead, or maybe you have several of these. Anyhow, this fits in there. So you have this leverage, which isn't much because you have the radius of this that gives you the leverage you need, and then this, you have the radius of this, which is a lot larger, and it gives you a lot more leverage. Then I drilled this hole in the end of that. Oh, that's the third hole. I used this. It worked really well. This goes in there. You line it up so that whenever you spin it, it doesn't wobble. You want it to spin true here. This part doesn't matter, because if it wobbles here, you'll prematurely break your bit. You want to drill a straight hole where this hits the edge of the hole you're drilling, and then this hits the same place, same place, same place. You apply hand pressure to this, and it just gives you, it's just easier because you're not just doing this. You get more twist, more motion back and forth. It's easier on your body. You do get you get more of a, probably a tapered hole using this kind of drill bit. And I also believe that, you know, they got tired and they figured out ways to, you know, use mechanical means to make this spin faster with using more leverage but less physical strength, with less physical strength required. Like, is it a leather strap and a spindle? I forget how those are made. I haven't looked at one in a long time. But, you know, and it'll make it, you know, you go up and down, and it spins even faster, and that creates the kind of wear patterns that they talk about, that they see in the archaeological record. So, concentric holes, I didn't see anything about the bottom of the hole. Is it tapered or rounded or what? And you can shape this how you want. My widest spot is way up here, but you might want it way down here, and then it gets narrower. So anyway, there's that. And I talked about this already. I don't like the way this is done. So I'm probably going to redo it. This rawhide comes loose. My last one never came loose like this. So I'm going to rehaft this, and I'm going to use rawhide dipped in hide glue, or I'm going to use some elk tendon. It doesn't, I don't think I don't want to use this. It's more work, and I think this has a lot more strength and can be used in better places. This is a piece of it that I mashed up and put in water And then after it got wet, I mashed it up some more, and it helped. This was the really thick, solid end. After I soaked it in water, I put it on a rock and then hit it with another rock, smooth rocks, and it just flattened it right out. So you take that and you dip it in hide glue, and then you can wrap stuff with it, and it'll stay stuck together. I used to make bows a lot, and I used to use this a lot on my bows. So for antler, I'd prefer not to put anything in like a pitch or hide glue, because I want to be able to get this out easily, for one, and I don't have pliers, you know, so I've got to be able to get it out easily. And I don't know, yeah, I don't remember the other reasons at the moment that I thought of. What else was I going to say about this? Maybe it'll come to me. Here's some ivory. I still look at these just about every day and think, how can I use this in my Wenatchee Clovis Toolkit? This one I don't want to use. I shouldn't say that. I do want to be able to use it as a reserve, so I don't want to destroy this. However, I do want to drill a hole through it. It's thick. It's solid ivory. Okay, solid. This one too. And I want to drill a hole through it. I've already started one. Can you see it? It's right there in between those things. I just started it just so it marked a place of where I wanted to begin. But I want to, I don't remember what I used. Which one? I think I used I definitely used the Knife River drill, the tri-stemmed one. But I want to drill a thick hole, a big hole through this. Like I want to make a drill out of this. This is a Clovis flake, tool flake I just took off of the core I was working on my last video. It's titled Flake Science and some stuff. But when I look at the thickness of that, I think that's about the right thickness I want for the drill that I want to make. To drill the hole that I want to make. I want to be able to drill a hole that's, I'm not quite sure yet, somewhere between 1/2 and 3/4. So I've got a couple options. There's another one, also took off of the same core. This was technically the crested blade off of one end, but I just used a ridge. So there's a really thick drill in there, but there's also an excellent heavy-duty short chisel. So not sure yet, but this, I think this is gonna work. It's long, it's way too long, so maybe I'll shorten it. I don't know. Let's see. There's another flake I took off that Clovis core that I have a few I want to keep, and a few I want to keep back and not ever use for anything. But this would make, golly, there's so many good things. You could make an flint, or let's see, a chipped adze out of it. They had to use adzes. They chopped wood, but that same adze tool that chops wood can also chop ivory. So they used them. I don't know in what form or fashion. I believe it was from something like this. Could also be something similar to Dalton. But anyhow, good options here. Chisel. I love this flake. Let's see. I wanted to show this. This is rabbit skin glue, rabbit hide glue. If you've not ever used hide glue is amazing. You can take bones from an animal. They call it hides because you can also use hides from an animal, but I wonder if there's more gelatin in bones than in hide, and you could make different. Anyhow, I know that they make different strengths hide glue, but I don't know how. Like bone glue is stronger than rabbit hide glue, but like mammoth hide glue is going to be stronger than rabbit hide glue. So there's different strengths and elasticities, and I think you can actually buy different strengths and elasticities. I used to use this stuff a lot making bows, but you boil it. You just boil it for a long time, and I don't mean just 2 or 3 hours. I mean like 12 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours. Put it in a crock pot and just let it go. Keep adding water. Then you take the bones out and then simmer it down, and then let it harden, and it makes hide glue. This is already busted up into granules. I used to also make my own, and you have to break it up, or really you just take the pieces. You don't have to have big pieces, but you take the pieces and just put it in a little dab of water over a stove, and it'll start heating up, and it evaporates. So you need extra water if you're taking a while, to do your project. But rabbit hide, I wanted to use it. I'm going to use it in a project in the future because it's elastic. Okay. I got a couple bones. I want to talk about this. So just 2 or 3 days ago, I took maybe it was longer than that, 3 or 4 days ago, took one of my shop tools and cut the ends off of these. And it was a shorter one, and I cut the other pieces into sections had some ideas. But this stuff, you have to be careful. You can't just go put a chisel on it right here and hit it and expect it to break how you want. They twist when they break, so in uncontrolled ways. But I'm glad that I did that, because it was either the next day or within 2 days. It's so dry out here in the desert, and I sent a message to the person that I bought these from in Montana. Elk bones. I was doing a special project, blah blah blah. Wanted to make sure I had good quality fresh bones. I didn't want anything bleached out. So he did, in this dry desert heat, it checked it from fingernail to fingernail. Right here, you could probably see it better. Anyway, if you get these, whether you buy them or you harvest them yourself, process them quickly. Because now I can't make it. If I wanted to make this out of it, I'm hosed. It's impossible, because it's already cracked all the way through. The old guys, I believe, also work their bone fresh. Maybe for two reasons now, but one, because it's easy to work when it's fresh, and two, maybe because it dries and checks like that. Maybe not where you live, but in the desert, it's like that. So, okay, now this flake, last thing I think to talk about, pretty much. This is the core that was left over from yesterday's flake science video. It is a large blocky chunk of rock when I started Burlington, and got to this stage and stopped. It was 3 hours into it. So last night, I mean, I've been eyeing this spot, I ain't gonna lie, since the beginning, since I started this, because I've been able to, this platform has been right here. It's scooped out just perfectly that you can hit just on the other side of this ridge like I did, and remove this crack. It's right here. But to me, it didn't, I don't know, it didn't seem Clovisy enough. Like I wasn't controlling and getting a flake with the right kind of ridges and everything that I wanted on it. So I held off. But last night, for some reason, in the dark, I decided to hit this. When you use a hammerstone a little bit, you know, you get used to the shock that it sends into your rock, okay? And whenever you get bad results, you remember the bad shock, and when you get good results, you remember the good shock. Well, anyway, I was tapping on this in the dark and had my, you know, my fingers and stuff down here. I knew that crack was there. I hit it, and it came off, and it got rid of the crack. But that wasn't the only reason. It just, I mean, I thought it was amazing. But it really is a no-brainer. If you hit it in the right spot, it's gonna come off. If you hit it, if you miss and hit the ridge, it ain't gonna do anything. And if you hit too high that way, hopefully it doesn't initiate. If you don't hit it too hard, it won't. But there's another reason. Take that off, and I could still do some percussion work to that and make something out of that. I know I could. That could chop ivory or something, or make a bunch of little tools out of it or something. But this is, I can exhaust the core even easier now. So I've got this, to me, and ideally, I think for most Clovis knappers as well, is this Hertzian cone. This Hertzian cone, if it's a good one, because they're not all perfect, then you don't have to do any preparation to this surface to take flakes from it. So I could literally just grind these ridges and just hit just above the ridge and take flakes. I don't know if those are Dalton flakes. I mean, I don't know if those are Clovis flakes. They remind me more of Dalton flakes. So I would, for example, I could hit this here, and that could be considered Clovis. There's no preparation. It's not needed. But it's all there. It's protruding. It's, you know, isolated. It's gonna be ground heavily and remove a crest. Same thing here. Hit it right there. Remove a crest. Then that removes a lot of mass, because those two will be big, thick flakes. If you start from this end and then try to remove these last, it'll be harder, because you're trying to remove a larger percentage of the whole rock. Do it now. Then go to here, and you can hit there, and then just take flakes, and just consume this whole thing up into tools. Now, after you take those flakes, I think they would look more like Clovis flakes, because then you'd be isolating platforms and stuff more. But here, not so much. And that's it for this video, except for I'm going to talk about the rocks I'm going to hit in the next video. I'm gonna chip on some rocks in the next video. Oh, hang on. There is one thing. Let's see. Yeah, two things. One, I think of, okay, what did they need? What did the Wenatchee Clovis people need, right? They needed lots of things, but one of the things they needed is tools that provided meat. So you use ivory point. I've said this in other videos, but you use ivory points for large game and stone points for small game. And I explain why in the technical video about ivory and bone. I don't remember the name of it. And the other thing is, like, I don't know the right word, but when I look at certain caches, Clovis caches, I think there's some points in there that look very funny to me. Like they don't belong, like they're not Clovis. So there's only 3 caches that I trust archaeological evidence from, and I don't even trust all of that. For example, Wenatchee Clovis points aren't projectile points, but that is the site evidence that I trust, because those are real. It's well documented, well preserved site. Same with the Hogeye cache and the Anzic cache. So those 3 caches, the Wenatchee, the Hogeye, and the Anzic cache, are professionally excavated, in my opinion, and the only Clovis sites that I trust. That's it. So I found this rock at the local rock shop. Yeah, about 40 miles down the road or something like that. And I thought, my gosh, if they had this rock in the rock shop, they must be some around here. But this is some kind of conglomerated agate. It's my assumption. If you saw this rock without any cortex taken off of it, you'd have to know what it is, what's under it. Elsewise, I don't see how there's any way you could identify that as being a chert, a flint of any kind. So I bought it just like this. Okay, I didn't take any of these flakes. They look like they were hit with steel hammers, very, very, very pointed steel hammers, right there, right there, right there, right there. But they're looking for quality, I think, to see if a jeweler or something might want to buy it, or somebody like me. Anyhow, I bought it, $5. Hit it, took that flake. So I'm gonna work these tomorrow. I'm also gonna work this. This is a piece of Burlington I picked up from Missouri. I've found Clovis cores, and I've seen Clovis cores. Other people have showed me. I should say I found one. It was 1 or 2. I don't remember. I don't have them anymore. But they were triangular like this. See how this is triangular? It's, it's not, and it's already, I just found it. I was like, oh man, look at that. That'll work nice. And it's not like I thought, oh, that'll make a triangular Clovis core. But, you take big primary flake off that corner, whatever primary flakes you need to get off that corner, make a bevel, and same there. And then this was worked. Like, it looks like 1 small flake, 2 a little bit bigger flake, 3 even bigger flake once everything was isolated. And you just continue work this bevel. I'm going to take 2 flakes from this or something, and maybe go thinner, I don't know, but and it'll be a triangular Clovis core when I'm done. I said did I say I was going to work this? I'm going to save this. I don't know if I'm going to work this or not. I think of refits. If anybody ever wanted to refit this back together, they would be able to do it for the most part. These two flakes that I want to use as tools are from the very, very outside, so they wouldn't hinder assembly. And then this one was from the inside, but I could probably miss one and still put their puzzle together. Anyhow, probably won't work that, but I'm going to work this. I'm going to clean this up on this from here to there, so I can take flakes wherever the ridges end up. And I love the end of this. It's nice and blocky. It'd be great for little overshots to come off. I need to start by taking a flake here. There's no preparation that I can do to it because of how it's currently set up. So I'll just hit it and try to remove this mass up to this ridge. I don't want it to go beyond it. I want to be able to create a ridge there. Hopefully I can take a flake all the way down. So my bevel I'm going to be take face from will be right here, so like that. All right.